sucks that there are so many smaller studios pumping out killer games, yet they don't get nearly the amount of recognition they deserve. Sure, they have their fans and whatnot, but they don't make as big a splash in the industry as they could and probably should. I'm sure you can think of a couple of examples, but personally when I say this, the primary team that comes to my mind is Inti Creates. More like Inti Chads, because the people over here are responsible for games oozing with quality and charm. So you know what? If no one else will give them an unreasonable amount of praise, then I will. It's what I'm best at after all. I've played almost every game both developed and published by the studio, and thought it'd be a cool, fun idea to take all these games and rank them from worst to best. Although I use the term worst very loosely, because I'd only call the lower end of the list okay at worst, with the quality skyrocketing from there. Just want to quickly clarify that I'm only including games specifically developed and published by the company, meaning I won't be counting the likes of the Zero Quadrilogy, ZX Duology, Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, stuff like that. But that's enough of the formalities. I hope you've used this opportunity to fill up a glass of refreshing water and get all nice and snug, because this is just about every Inti Creates game ranked, starting with the most okay game on the list, Mighty Gunvolt. This one sorta counts because it was originally a free game to go alongside the original release of Azure Striker Gunvolt. I'd still put it up here because it's available to purchase now, which is how I played it. And it was on Wikipedia's list of games developed and published by Inti, so it's an 8-bit game in the same vein of classic Mega Man, where you can play as GV from Gunvolt, Ekodo from Galgun, or Beck, a completely original character with no game to originate from. It's a fun time, don't get me wrong. The stages offer unique, simplified spins on their original layouts, and seeing some of Galgun's school environments repurposed for a 2D platformer was kinda neat. Not to mention the bosses were enjoyable, as Inti always provides. But the game's so dummy short while offering little to no incentive to revisit it that the game's just a one and done kinda deal. There are only 5 stages, with the 6th and final one acting only as a boss fight. Sure, you've got 4 DLC stages that were some of the better, more challenging ones of the bunch, but even still, the game only took me about 30 minutes to finish a single campaign. Combine that with playthroughs of the other 2 characters, ignoring the DLC stages, I was done with this game completely in about an hour. There's a reason it's inexpensive as hell, and that's because there isn't much content. Fun content for sure, but I'd rather play any other game on this list, which, funny enough, one of those games is a sequel to this that's light years better. Okay, I spent most of the segment dogging on the game. It is fun all things considered, and I greatly enjoyed my time with it. I just kinda wish I got it for free and only paid for the DLC, not both. Regardless of its pocket change price, you can skip this one. Oh, and side note, why the hell is Red Guy the first boss you fight if you play as GV or Beck? Who thought this was a good idea? I just wanna talk. We interrupt this program to bring you Heaven. So, you know, I had to get every Inti Creates game, and that included the risque NSFW Galgun 2. After all, I didn't have a choice. This is every Inti Creates game ranked. Lucky for me, the game was on sale, so I got it. Dim the lights real low. Got in a mood. And eventually turn them back on because this game's aight. So what even is Galgun 2? Well, it's a rail shooter dating sim hybrid where the main character is tasked with ridding his high school of demons. Okay? He rids these demons by firing shots of pheromone, and you can immediately see why I put an NSFW warning before this segment. Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, this is a hentai game. And real quick, jokes aside, that has absolutely nothing to do with this placement or my personal enjoyment. Everyone needs their sexy content every now and then, and I'm no exception. And hell, if there's a game that provides quality entertainment, all the while fulfilling my, needs, then more power to you. Not counting this, I've only played like one other hentai game, so I was curious to see if the quality would be there in more ways than one. And you know what? This game's honestly kind of fun. I wasn't into it at first, and I will say that the game could have been a lot higher on the list if the controls were cleaned up a bit more. Playing FPS games with a controller is very hit or miss for me personally, and this one's kind of a miss. I felt as if no matter how much I fumbled around with the sensitivity, there was always a slight delay in when I would start and stop to move the reticle, robbing me of my desired accuracy. Made for a bit of frustration given how small the targets are in this game, along with the whole bullseye mechanic, so it's a shame that the main gameplay wasn't as clean as it could have been. That being said, it wasn't unplayable, and I still found myself enjoying the variety of challenges, whether that be facing off against all the targets, defending the grills, or doing scavenger hunts. These kind of suck though. In regards to the dating sim and rated M for mature content, it was kind of weird. There were some characters you'd have to grow closer with by feeding them food, accurate, leading to more scenes between you and them. But there were a lot of girls you'd just get numbers from after clearing their missions, all with a couple of personality traits, sure, but you don't really get to know them. And funnily enough, they're the ones who you'll be seeing in their underwear the most as you, fantasize with them. Fantasize? Is that what this game calls it? This is on a Nintendo console, people. We've come a long way. All in in all, it's a good time. Not a great time or anything, but I had fun. And if you're watching this segment, you're obviously cool with lewd content, so you might enjoy it. Definitely get it on sale like I did though. It's kind of an expensive game, so at that point, just bite the bullet and watch porn already. Whoa, shall we go back to family-friendly content? Next up, we have Dragon Marked for Death, a game I kinda slept on for a while. I don't know why either, because the premise and concept of it all is really interesting. First and foremost, the game's illustrations were done by Toru Nakayama, the same person who did the artwork for the Mega Man Zero and ZX games. I'm absolutely in love with this style, and was ecstatic to see him work with Inti on another project. The game's a side-scrolling RPG with a heavy emphasis on online multiplayer, sporting a whopping 4 playable characters with distinct playstyles. Team synergy is a real focus point, and that's so unique and creative. Finally getting around to playing it, I've been having a lot of fun with it. The controls are tight, I have fun playing as all the base classes, and the challenge Inti generally provides is here in spades. So that begs the question, why is it on the lower end? Well, there are a couple of things. For one, I can barely follow this game's story and I honestly don't care to, not even a little. The main characters have no character. Given that they don't speak or emote to just about anything, you give them a voice but that ends up just being for grunts and battle quotes. Would have liked to see them react to events going on and the discrimination they face over the course of the game, at least a little. And on the topic of characters, where are the characters? There are a couple you meet here and there, but I barely remember any of these peeps. Maybe I'd feel a little different if I finished the game, but that's another thing. I honestly have a hard time bringing myself to play it. Normally my recording sessions are a couple of hours, at least 90 minutes, just so I make a good chunk of progress without having a billion video files, but the game's just so lifeless. That Inti charm every other game on this list has is missing here, given the lack of character animations, character portraits, or memorable music. It honestly gets pretty boring playing on your own. The game is undeniably at its peak when online with friends. That being said, it's pretty hard for me to do that since I don't have too many people who have this game. I know there's a Discord for it, but even then, time zones, different schedules, and whatnot keep me from consistently going into missions with a party of some kind. The game would have greatly benefited from local multiplayer, or hell, just being more popular, but you know, that can't be helped. Given how the game was designed, it was always going to be for a very niche, specific audience, and the situations where the game is at its peak are even more specific. But there's a certain beauty in that, and if anything, it makes for a very unique game. I can have a great time with this game, in short bursts anyway, and that's okay. And if I've got friends to join along for the ride, then hey, that's even better. I don't, but, you know, what else is new? Can we just go to the next segment? Alright, so from this point on, the quality of these games is just, whew. Yeah, that's how we're describing it. And what better way to start than a sequel to one of my favorites? Bloodstained Curse of the Moon was a great freaking game, and I was very happy to see it get a sequel. Thankfully, the sequel's awesome. Obviously, I don't like it as much as the original, but it's still a dope-ass game on its own right. Lots of little changes and details this time around that I absolutely adore, like the mini-scenes between stages, bosses having a health bar, improved dialogue, and ramped up difficulty. I want to put an emphasis on the latter because this game does not hold back, which is both a good and bad thing. Sometimes I felt the game was a little unfair with its difficulty, with the main culprit being the game's checkpoints, which are the worst part of the whole package. The pacing between them was just so random. Like, sometimes you'd find one immediately after another, and other times it'd feel as if you went the entire stage just seeing one, and on those later, more difficult campaigns, it got pretty annoying to the point where I had to lower things to casual mode. I also thought the game went on a little too long for its own good, but other than that, it's more Curse of the Moon goodness, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I love the new characters, as they give their own spin on the classic Vania gameplay while standing on the same plane of quality as the previous cast. My favorite was the Corgi driving a mech, which yes, is 100% as badass and wholesome as it sounds. The bosses were a lot more dynamic this time around, which was already a pretty high bar to surpass. The story was epic all things considered, and the music was, as they say, the chef's kiss. A great game all around, and if you were a fan of the original, or are a fan of great 2D platformers in general, I'd recommend this in a heartbeat, because it's a wonderful night to have a curse. Again. The most underrated game on the list by a landslide. Mighty Gunvolt Burst is way better than anyone gives it credit. The original was nothing to write home about. Hell, it's at the bottom of the list. But fellas, the sequel takes a steaming hot dump on the original. It's still an 8-bit 2D platformer a la classic Mega Man just like before, but with plenty more twists. For one, it's actually got a decent amount of stages, but more importantly are the main mechanics of burst combos and customization. The name of the game is killing as many enemies up close and personal as possible to rack up those higher scores. And a great way of ensuring you can do this and make it to the end is by modifying your character with a variety of options. The size of your bullets, how many can be on screen at once, what kind of shots you fire, whether that be through differing wavelengths or elements altogether. There's so much to mix and match, making for a ridiculously replayable game, and it constantly throws in secret rooms and treasures over the course of the game, only adding even more customization options that can vary between characters. Like before, you can play as GV and the original character Beck, but for this game's DLC, instead of adding new stages, it offers new characters, raising the total from 2 to 9 if you so choose to buy them all. I highly encourage this because not only is it dummy cheap, but these new campaigns add so much more value to an already content-heavy game. The story's dumb crossover fun, the level design is interesting and varied, the bosses are dope. This is such a kick-ass game, and I'm so disappointed that it didn't sell better. I hate to say it, but I feel this is the case because of the 8-bit style, as that retro look just doesn't have the same effect as it used to, given how much it's been used. If this game went for a more detailed look or something else, I promise you people would have taken notice and given this game the love it's very much earned. Buy this game, because odds are you haven't, and you should. It's so good. Even though this is my least favorite Gunvolt entry, Luminous Adventure X remains a fantastic game, let alone one of the shining stars in Inti's library. I made a review of this game a little while back and got some comments saying that I may have been a little hard on it, and I guess so, but I do still stand by almost all of what I said. The story's kinda weak, the game isn't as replayable as the other two for a variety of reasons, and graphically speaking, I'm disappointed that the game didn't make as big of a leap as it could have, given that it's the first console exclusive entry. But don't get it twisted, I love this game and think it does a lot of things right, so let's talk about those things. Feelings about the overall story aside, it's got some of the better characters in the series, like our main boy Copen, Lola, Blade, and Demerzel. Character designs are on freaking point as always, the UI is the best it's ever been, and the music has admittedly grown on me a lot more. Not to the same degree as the other two, but this game's got some bops, your boy can't deny that. Copen's controls have been fine-tuned to such a tremendous degree that it honestly made coming back to how he played in Gunvolt 2 a little weird, because despite how much I enjoyed him there, the little fixes here are godlike. And that precision is exactly what you need when you've got these challenging stages tailor-made for his playstyle, all sporting unique gimmicks and layouts that encourage the high-risk, high-reward, reckless gameplay style Copen provides. Also, these are some of the most dynamic bosses in the series. Overall, I'd say this is probably the easiest Gunvolt game, but with these games' difficulty levels, that's not saying too much. The game can and will catch you off guard, especially in those EX stages, harder versions of all the game's bosses and all. I wish there was more to this game, mostly due to the fact that what we did get was really solid, and I didn't want my time with it to end so soon. And if my biggest complaint is that I wanted more of what's already an excellent game, I think that speaks volumes about its quality overall. A part of me wondered if I rushed putting Curse of the Moon in my top 10 2D platformers list. Lord knows I had plenty of other candidates, most of which I spent a lot more time with over my gaming career. So I played it again, and I don't regret it one bit. Honeymoon phase or not, this game's incredible. This was a stretch goal for Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, so I don't think anyone expected it to be this good, but lo and behold, here we are. An excellent Classicvania game that still catches me coming back for a playthrough every now and then, regardless of if its sequel is out or not. And why is that? Well, honestly, I think some Komijane put it best. Sometimes less really is more. Unlike Curse of the Moon 2, where you have to play the game like 4 times for the main story, this game only makes you go through it twice. And even then, the second campaign is a bit harder and changed up enough to incentivize that second time through. And on top of that, there are more ways to spice up playing the game over and over, but it never forces that. Whether or not you come back that often is up to you, and because of that, I want to. Things change up enough to pique my interest. The game isn't so hard that I'd frustrate myself out of playing the whole thing over, and level design wise, I just find it to be superior. I feel like stages are a little shorter, and while not as mechanically involved, they provide enough to keep me on my toes and engaged with the experience. I like both casts about the same for different reasons, but because you only have 4 characters and not the insane amount given to you in the second game, levels feel a lot more dense, and I'm put under the impression that I can see everything they have to offer a lot sooner. Bosses are still a blast, the story has some cool twists that make for an admittedly interesting journey, the music is, in my opinion, a lot better and more memorable than the second soundtrack, and combined all together, you've got a great title that'll hold up for a long time. It delivers a game that's just the right length, all while offering more to it if you so choose. And really, I think that's the best way of going about a game like this. For the first and only remake on the entire list, we have Blaster Master Zero. The original Blaster Master was an NES game known for pushing the console to its very limit. I hadn't heard about it until finding out about this game, but it's pretty cool how much they were able to squeeze into the NES cartridge, and it's even cooler how much they were able to improve on it here. I heard a little bit of praise about this game, but way more people need to be talking about it, good lord. The game is another genre hybrid, this time being a combination of a Metroidvania and a top-down dungeon crawler in the same vein of the original Zelda. On one hand, you travel primarily in a tank, but sometimes sometimes on foot on a 2D plane, looking for upgrades so you can make progress and reach new areas, hopefully finding entrances to dungeons. In these, you strictly travel by foot using your blaster to make your way through hordes of enemies and obstacles, being able to upgrade your gun with power-ups, incentivizing you to take as little damage as possible, given that your most powerful weapons can be stripped away from you by as little as a single hit. These normally end in a boss fight, and they're so fun. Kinda easy to break with the more powerful weapons, but give them an inch and they'll take a mile. Great selection of battles here. It's hard to pick which half of the gameplay I prefer because the marriage between the two is near perfection. They work hand in hand to expand the world you travel through, and what you do in one can impact how you traverse through the other. Sometimes you'll need to travel through a dungeon to make it to an otherwise inaccessible area, or you'll need to flip a switch in a dungeon to pave a way through the overworld. The way they work together reminded me of Persona, bringing together two completely different gameplay styles and forcing them to work. And just like there, it's beautiful and made me fall in love. Things are hard, but never unfair, minus like one of the later bosses. Controls are tight, meaning that 95% of the deaths you experience are on you. And while the game kinda forces you to 100% it for the true ending, which was a little lame, I didn't mind because I was already going to. I was having a great time and wanted to see every inch of what this game could provide. Oh, and if you still didn't get enough from that first playthrough, not only is there essentially a new game plus that highly encourages speedrunning, but there's paid DLC done right yet again. There are 4 extra characters you can buy, and they're awesome. You can play as GV, Shantae, Ekuro, or Shovel Knight, all providing different spins onto the already established gameplay with some upgrades of their own, giving you completely new campaigns. It's not as cool as it sounds. It's even better. And I had to stop myself from playing the game so I can make this stupid video. This isn't a game that improves enough to stand alongside the original, it straight up replaces it. And given that members of the original team came on board to help alongside the Inti Chads, it's no stretch of the imagination to say that if you're playing Blastermaster, you're playing Blastermaster Zero. Easily one of Inti's finest works. You know, I find that a lot of people have been saying that the original Gunvolt hasn't aged that well, and I don't think I agree with that. For Inti's first solo project, I think it aged like fine wine, and I still come back to it again and again and have more and more fun each time. Azure Striker Gunvolt holds up, and is a game that rewards you for getting good at it by being more fun in return. The likable characters carry what's an admittedly okay story, the HD upgrades to the graphics do wonders to show off its detailed sprite work, the music has grown on me a lot more thanks to its memorable techno goodness, the Japanese voice work is pretty outstanding as far as I can tell, and the feel of the game is just as good, if not better than the first time through. GV is so responsive to the point where he's twitchy, and that's just how I like it with my 2D platformers. When they want to push that challenge factor, I need to be in total control, meaning that the split second I push right on the D-pad, my guy better snap pip it, and he does. The response time is excellent, I'm in total control, and that is perfect. The tag and zap gameplay took some getting used to, but I can't imagine the Gunvolt games playing any different. It allows for strategic tagging, maneuvering, and attacking so that I make sure I'm out of harm's way and can still lay the smackdown. And while level design might not be as good as it could have been, these stages remain a blast to come back to in order to get faster and more skillful at, which the game encourages thanks to offering the best songs in the OST exclusively for those who can rack up those kudos points, and offering more materials as a bonus for stage mastery, leading to better equipment, more gameplay capabilities, and a higher skill ceiling. The formula is so good, dude, and it all relies on your effort to get good, and get good I shall. I used to meme on this game's hard mode, but it's actually a lot of fun now that I've pretty much figured out this game like the back of my hand. Definitely don't be like me though, I've spent way too much time playing this game, but I mean, why wouldn't I?
The game is fun.
I love the game, I think it's great. So much so that I managed to crack my top 3, and for a first attempt at making your own thing, that's damn impressive. So you're given a choice, sex or Blastermaster Zero 2. Yep, that's what I thought. After playing Blastermaster Zero, I thought, man, why is nobody talking about this? That was amazing. After playing Blastermaster Zero 2, I found myself disappointed in the gaming community. Clearly, we just don't like recommending masterpieces anymore because I didn't hear jack about this game, and that's a crime! This is better than the original in every single way and then some. I didn't know what to expect going in, but as soon as the game officially started up, the main characters landed on the first planet, and I realized that this was a space adventure, I knew it was gonna be something special. The surprisingly effective hybrid is back in full force, with a lot of improvements to clean it up that much further. You can jump from great heights to recover SP at a faster rate in your tank, the upgrades for said tank are very different but admittedly a lot more fun, and the game cuts back on a lot of the backtracking, or makes it so that it's a non-issue thanks to splitting up the game into multiple planets and having a variety of ways to quickly get to a warping point. While going through dungeons, you've got a new set of gun tiers to experiment with, still increasing in power but feeling a lot more balanced so that you can't break the game as easily. You have to think, as the higher tier of weapons will punish you for spamming, making it so that bosses can be be as involved as originally intended, perfectly fine in my book. There's also this sick new counter mechanic, where if you time a button pressed at just the right time, you'll counter the enemy leaving an opening to strike. This also plays a hand in making the bosses have more room for strategy and different methods to come out victorious on top of the already wide selection of guns and sub-weapons. I didn't bring up the story in the original game segment, even though it was honestly pretty good, but here it's so much better, and does a great job at expanding the game's world, or should I say universe, because you know, space adventure or whatever. The cast grows to a much larger size, and I loved everyone. They're all so cool and play fun roles in a really fun story. There are tons of mini planets that give more bite-sized challenges, the music is a step up from an already great OST, the DLC campaigns are still awesome, and the true ending doesn't require 100% anymore, but I still ended up completing the game because it was so damn good. The only problem, again, is that there's like one boss near the end of the game I didn't care for, but when the rest of the package is this solid, who the hell cares? When I saw the credits roll and that "thank you for playing" message waiting for me at the end, I felt great because I knew I just played something that'll stick with me for a long time. This game is phenomenal and the perfect showcase of what Inti Creates is truly capable of. If you're a regular around here, hello. You knew what number 1 was going to be from the start. But cut me some slack, dude. I didn't ask for a 2D platformer so unbelievable it renders 99% of its gaming competition irrelevant. Get off my back. I find myself repeating previously stated praises of the game since I do talk about it all the damn time, but that's for a reason. I think Azure Striker Gunvolt 2 is kinda perfect, or at least so close that I don't care to point out the flaws. Of course the game can be improved upon, and I'm hoping Gunvolt 3 does just that. But like, dude, you've got some shoes to fill. The characters work alongside a much more competent narrative to the point where the endgame and final moments got an emotional response out of me. The sprite work and silky smooth framerate help the gameplay look and feel much better than it has any right to. And while I'm not hyper focused on perfecting my runs through these carefully crafted levels, I've got some great music to listen to. Of course, with the vocal tracks proving to be phenomenal rewards based on musical fidelity alone. GV and Copen's controls are responsive, quick, perfect, allowing for me to overcome what I feel to be one of the more challenging yet fair games I've yet to experience. And there are even more ways to customize build characters, giving me a good excuse to play through the game all over again for the 50th time. The game may not have a BS hard mode or laughable easy mode to mess around in, but it makes up for that by having a bunch of bonus stages to experience once you've beaten the game, those of which still give me a hard time to this day. There's gobs of content, gobs of quality, all making for a game that I seriously can't recommend enough. I get it, you're tired of hearing me praise the game, I know, but it's my favorite 2D platformer, one of my favorite games, and easily the best thing Inti Creates has ever put out. Will it be topped? Who knows, but it'll always remain a special piece of work, and that's what's important here, earning its spot as the #1 Inti Creates game.